Welcome to Auntie K's, your favorite radical queer indigenous auntie, bringing you tarot every day. Hello everyone and welcome to Auntie K's Tarot. So I'm here today because yesterday I was ranting with a friend of mine about Mother's Day, and I promised that they would be my muse and I would make a YouTube video rant about Mother's Day. And before all the mothers come after me, I'm a widowed mother of 6, so sit down, shut up. Mother's Day is complicated. As somebody who was adopted, never mind adopted as part of the 60s scoop, but and the 60s scoop being the Canadian government stealing Indigenous children and the American government stealing Indigenous children and putting them into white foster and adopted homes. So I have a complicated relationship with Mother's Day, Father's Day too, for that matter. And I think a lot of mothers have a complicated relationship with Mother's Day. But I think a lot of us have a complicated relationship with Mother's Day too. It's not just folks like me who, you know, were separated from our mothers and given to like some other woman to like, you know, fulfill her fantasy of being a mother and being told that your trauma is her greatest wish ever, greatest wish. There's dads who do it too. But we're talking about the moms. You can just translate most of this with like, you know, twice as much issues because also patriarchy. But I had a complicated relationship with Mother's Day, but so did a lot of other people, you know, and my friend is dealing with her complicated relationship with her mom and the complicated family dynamics of the mothering of children by other mothers for various reasons. And then being stuck with this like day where society says, no, honor and respect and love your mother. And like, what have you just gone through? Like, you know, there's kids whose mothers are physically abusive and emotionally abusive. And, you know, for transracially adopted kids, like mothers who are racially abusive. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Two most racist people in my entire life, I had to call mom and dad. So the layers. And then I'm a mom. And at this point, I've been a mom for a long time. My oldest is, I believe, 27. Yes, 27. Just did the math. 27. And my youngest is 9. And like also a complicated history. I've been a single mom. I've been a mom, you know, with like kids from different dads. I've been a mom in bad relationships and good relationships. And I've been a mom who's widowed and most of my kids are grown and out of the house. And I've never really known what to do with it. Because for the majority of my mothering journey, it was left up to me to orchestrate the kids to celebrate me for Mother's Day. they're a little bit better at doing that for your birthday because they understand the concept better because they have a birthday, siblings have a birthday, their friends have a birthday. They get it a bit more training. But there were a number of years where I had a partner who could have done Mother's Day for me, but ran home to their mommy every Mother's Day because it was the responsibility of the kids to do Mother's Day for me. And like they were little. So it was complicated. I don't think I've told my kids don't celebrate Mother's Day. I think I've oscillated between like, this is a day you can't fight and argue because like, I don't want to deal with the crap today. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. I don't know, like, what I want for my kids for Mother's Day. Like, maybe a phone call, but do we have to be awkward and say Happy Mother's Day? Because then it just makes it awkward. It's complicated. It's complicated. What do you do if you want to honor your mom and your mom's got Mother's Day issues? What'd you do? You know, and then there's all the mothers whose children were taken from them. Like, what a loaded day. What a loaded day, you know? So I was like, I'm going to dig into the history of Mother's Day because then I'll have something to bitch about. Okay, yeah, that didn't actually work out as expected. It didn't give me a lot to bitch about. You know, we know that in the Eastern Hemisphere where they study antiquity more, that there were gods and mother figures, and there were days and festivals of honoring mothers. You know, being Indigenous, I know that over here, a lot of our mythology and spirituality centers around motherhood. Unlike a lot of other belief systems, we believe women came first because the woman had to like birth some people. So there's that. You know, I'm staying here in so-called Canada on Turtle Island, and Mother's Day is celebrated throughout Turtle Island by the colonial states. But when they all came over here and colonized, they didn't bring their Mother's Day equivalent celebrations with them. And so then it didn't happen here. And then it did. And I was like, all right, give me some juicy stuff. But, you know, Anna Maria Jarvis created like mothering collectives and organized for healthy bottled milk and safe food. So there wasn't a lot to bitch about there. But on a political note, she was a both sides neoliberal. So, you know, we can hate a little bit. She was like one of those white lady, both sides neoliberal, like, let's just all get along. You know, it's okay that they're white supremacists. We can all get along. And, you know, since she was from West Virginia and did start this like before and kept it going during and after the American Civil War. You know, that was an active practice. So, and I can't tell if both sides was like, you know, white, white against white. I suspect it was. I suspect like the both sides didn't mean. I think it was about like who fought in the North and who fought in the South, not like white and black. It didn't seem like she was promoting that white people should both sides it with black people and get along with them. Did not sound like she was promoting that. So, you know, we can stick on her for that. And she wished mothers would get more recognition, so her daughter Anna Jarvis fights for Mother's Day, and Woodrow Wilson, the American president, makes it official, and she's so happy. And then Eleanor Roosevelt uses Mother's Day to raise money for charity. And so Anna Jarvis tries to cancel Mother's Day for the capitalism and consumerism by making it a a capitalist holiday, commercializing it. That was the word she used, not the other ones, for commercializing it. So I'm kind of like, yeah, Anna, they commercialized it. It's such bullshit. But also, Karen versus Karen. You're mad about them commercializing it in the way where Eleanor Roosevelt is using it to raise money for charity? Like, that's essentially what your mother did. But more collective, like, so, I don't know. Maybe she was super woke and she realized that, like, charity in the way Eleanor Roosevelt was doing it is, like, toxic. But, like, what her mom did was groups of women, white women, right? Just exclusively white women, got together and helped each other out. And I gotta agree, her mom's version was like totally healthier, and the other kind is toxic. But I sort of suspect that wasn't her point either. So then the countries who were no longer celebrating more religious-based Mother's Days adopted the American Anna Maria and Anna Jarvis Mother's Day. Yeah. And we have complicated histories with it, So, like, also yesterday, the Canadian government is arguing amongst themselves about whether or not a dump that was used as dumping grounds by a serial killer, who, of course, is a white dude who murdered Indigenous women, dumped bodies, whether or not the risks, or whether or not the benefits outweigh the risks and cost. So the benefits are maybe they find the bodies. They're saying it's not a guarantee. And it will look good for Canada to search for the bodies in the, or more explicitly, what they're stating is how's it going to look? They keep saying that. How's it going to look if we don't search the dump? How's it going to look? Well, Canada, it's going to look bad. This is occurring after they took the time to do a study to assess if it would be worth it to search the dump for the bodies when they knew the serial killer dumped bodies in the dump. But that's not the reason you're supposed to search the dump. You're supposed to search the dump because these mothers and daughters matter. Their bodies don't deserve to be left in a dump by a serial killer that originally you wanted to deny what existed. Again, happy Mother's Day. Yeah, there's some moms and some children's really hurting about the idea of like all these happy middle class families celebrating Mother's Day. I have a question. Why do they say the middle class is shrinking? Because I was looking up a bunch of economic stuff and the middle class is still fucking huge. Is it like a ploy to make us not be mad at them for also wealth hoarding? And I know they think they're not wealth hoarding because they have all this debt. But that's because they're living so far beyond their means. That's where they're hoarding their wealth and their junk in big homes. Yeah. The top 1% is a problem, but like, so is the top 50. These are also a problem. But, you know, the top 50 is also a problem. It is. The top 50% is also a wealth hoarding problem. Yeah, that's who's spending all this money commercializing Mother's Day. So the thing is, turns out it's really hard to make a good rant about Mother's Day. But it still really sucks because of all the social impacts of this society on children and mothers. So these are the aunties in my land back tarot. The word in a lot of indigenous languages for auntie is other mother. And these are folks who are mothers that I painted into this deck. And by mothers, I mean mothers and other mothers. And those oldest sisters who get stuck with mothering they never should have had to do. And those who they become step parents they didn't intend to become. The mothers who police other mothers. The soul wounds caused by not having mothers. And people frequently involved in the theft of children from mothers, from, you know, the church, the social workers and nurses, and environmental damage. The pet mothers. Yes, Buttons, I'm talking about you. And then there's the fact that this Mother's Day falls on the beginning of the Nakba, the Palestinian catastrophe, where children and mothers and babies were murdered and displaced from their homes so that white Zionists could fulfill their revelation dreams by creating a home for Jews on land occupied by Muslim and Christian and Jewish Palestinians. So this next part's for you. And one last thing before I go. I am going to read a poem that I wrote some years ago. I'm not sure how many. Anyway, a Mother's Day poem. On Mother's Day, I always wanted to say Happy Mother's Day to a real mom. As a child, I hid in my room. I had stomach aches. As an adult, I avoided the phone and cringed every time someone mentioned the day. As a child, I always made a Mother's Day card. Then I stashed it in my dresser, waiting to give it to the most beautiful, mythical being, my real mom. I would know hugs, I would know kisses, I would know love. Instead, I know fear, I know loneliness, I know trauma. On Mother's Day, remember the scoop. Children, mothers, fathers, siblings, aunties, uncles, alone and without Mother's Day. Burn the flag that stole our mothers. Smash social services. Tell a mom whose child was stolen in genocide that we've loved them every day. Every day has been, I wish I had a mom day. And so that, folks, is my anti-Mother's Day post for all those of you who needed it. From the complicated relationships, the mothers who didn't love you, the mothers who were narcissistic, the mothers whose religious beliefs harmed you, the mothers who allowed patriarchy to harm you in every way imaginable, to the moms who lost their children to the state or to social services or in a custody battle with a narcissistic partner. To the moms who lost their children to wars and to other genocides and to, you know, the politics of the global north, especially the United States. For everybody who needed somebody to give you something to bitch about today, this is my contribution. It's not the idea of Mother's Day that sucks at all. It's just our society that sucks. See y'all later, folks.